No, Mom is under his plow. No, he's made it already. She's taken on it now.
Awesome.
Hi, Sue. Tony was calling you.
Or accurate, yeah.
I'm really being truthful.
We do infrequent audits, but we always can.
Yeah. No, it's just so riveting. Riveting.
Hello, sir. How are you?
And that.
Yeah, well, see, I passed it, I looked at it. I'm waiting for this. Here had this big bus. The guy was doing breakfast at 80 miles an hour. I saw one guy shaving once. He was looking in the rearview mirror shaving. Ran out of fear that I had to go rear and side on, so I had to.
It's a monstrosity. Look at this.
Good afternoon, everyone. We call the personnel meeting to order. And at this time, public comment. Seeing none, I'm going to move on to our agenda, which is review the county executive's appointments and reappointments. The first one is the Area Agency on Aging Board. Submitting the following individual for reappointment to the Area Aging on Aging Board. Ann Terrace. The term will end June 30th, 2021. Any comments or questions on the reappointment? Seeing none, motion to move to full council.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Next, we have the Housing Authority Board. Leona Demko is an appointment to the Housing Authority Board. Ms. Demko is a resident of Howard Jones Manor and will fill this resident position. She has been serving an interim term since October. Ms. Demko's term will begin February 10th and will expire February 9th, 2025. Questions or comments on this appointment? Motion to move to full council. Thank you.
Second.
Jail Advisory Board. Michelle Santiago, reappointment to the Jail Advisory Board. Ms. Santiago is being considered for a 2-year term to begin January 17th and to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or comments for this appointment? Motion to move to full council.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Mental Health, Early Intervention and Developmental Programs Advisory Board. Denise Verratti is being considered for a 3-year term, begin January 24th, 2020, and January 23rd, 2023.
Motion.
Second.
Questions? Motion? Okay. And we have one more on the Retirement Board. I have to get through the, okay, here it is. Okay, this is a reappointment on the Retirement Board for Thomas Guth. Mr. Guth is being considered for it's a reappointment. He's being considered for a 2-year term beginning December 31st, 2019 to end December 31st, 2021. Questions or concerns? Comments? I can say he does a great job on the Retirement Board. I've been with him there for 2 years now, and I think he'd be great to serve, continue to serve. Motion to move to full council.
So be.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay. And now we go on to the review of the personnel requests from the Department of Human Services. get to that. There it is. At the request of Ms. Wondolowski, Director of Human Services, I have prepared a calculation of the financial impact of the following position changes. Position change, Human Services at Graysdale, eliminate one staff development instructor part-time, eliminate 3 nurse supervisors, and create 1 staff developmental instructor full-time. And the next page shows the breakout of the financial changes. And the second page does as well. And then the third page shows the creation salary and the net change. I guess my question for Ms. Wondolowski would be, is this pretty much a equal financial?
I'll defer to Mr. Dunlap.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, essentially, it will end up being a little bit more in the long run because it's taking out 36,000 total salary along with 44. So, I mean, that brings us up a little bit over 80,000, and then the new salary and fringes for the position being created is 86.
Okay.
So it's about 5,000, a little more.
Sure. Okay.
So am I correct, we're eliminating 4 for 1?
That is
Even though they're per diem?
right. That is correct. So it's there's 1 vacant part-time staff development instructor position. And then there are currently 11 vacant nurse supervisor per diem positions. And at any point in time, Dawn, the director of nursing, says that 5 to 6 nurse supervisor per diem positions is appropriate. So we have an excess there where we can take those FTEs to use towards this full-time instructor position. And just so you're aware, the ultimate reason for this change is because the staff development department really could use the benefit of a full-time as opposed to this part-time position that they currently have, as well as it seems like more people are seeking a full-time position as well instead of a part-time. But the workload that the staff development department has currently between re-education needed and also when the issues arise, such as, things as hand hygiene or stuff like that, if we see that, somebody just maybe needs a refresher on something, as well as competencies, making sure that all staff member and nursing staff are competent in their skills. And they also are in charge of the nurse aide trainee program, all new employee orientation, as well as our Relias system that was put in place that is for all employees. And some ancillary departments have packets that they get that they have to do through handwriting and manual testing that are then reviewed by staff development as well.
How many people is she going to end up supervising?
Well, this position, it's not a supervisory position.
So we're just filling a position of need?
Correct, an instructor, yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do here, but I guess my question is, when did you become aware of this need? Because it always bothers me when we go through an extensive budget process, we pass a budget in December, and here we are in January, and you're asking to make a personnel move. Has anything happened that has created an immediate need for this? And if so, what was it? If not, why wasn't this part of your budget back in December?
Well, when the budget was initially created and finalized back in July on our end.
Well, but we have until December to do amendments.
I know, I'm just kind of walking through the process with that.
Yeah.
So we had finished it then, and we had also been seeking for the staff development positions, and we did fill 1 part-time. There were 2 part-time positions that we were trying to fill. One of them was filled, and then now we still have this 1 vacant position. And just because of need as of current, because also too, CMS has what they call the final rule, and the last piece of the implementation came in November, which adds additional training requirements to staff. So it became apparent over the last few months that we really do have the need for a full-time position. The full-time position appears that it would be easier to fill, and B, the need really is there now to make sure that our staff are up to date on their competencies, their trainings, and, you know, what have you, the retrainings and all the orientations.
Okay, well, I'll just say, it sounds to me like the need was there back in November, and this could have been part of a budget amendment. So that's all. Thank you.
Did we not discuss this in November? There was something we said was coming.
The next thing on your list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining the position.
You're welcome.
And I understand you have to be realist at times, and sometimes this stuff comes up, and it's tough to get it all in under the budget. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? Motion to move to
So
full
moved.
council. Thank you. Did I get a motion to move to full council?
I did.
Thank you. Okay, and I believe this is the last item for the Personnel Committee. We have a position change for Human Services at the request of Ms. Wondolowski, Director of Human Services. She has prepared a calculation of the financial impact of the following position changes, and it would be an upgrade: 1, financial officer; 2, full-time; 1, accountant; 3, full-time, pay grade HS 41-8H in the Children and Youth Family Division; and an upgrade: 1, financial officer; 2, full-time; 1, accountant; 3, full-time in the Mental Health Division. And lastly, an upgrade: 1, financial officer; 1, full-time, and 1, accountant; 2, full-time in the Drug and Alcohol Division. There is an accounting sheet in your packet. Actually, there's 2 of them, 3 of them, explaining some of the breakouts. Okay, I introduced it, and I would like, if you have, would like to comment on some of it and explain.
Sure. We did talk about this. It had been originally in the budget to upgrade these positions, and for the 2 new folks, the reason for the upgrades were primarily these 3 individuals in each of their respective divisions oversee millions and millions of dollars worth of grant funding and other funding streams, and supervise folks who also are fiscal techs, and we have a couple different job titles for them. And the way it's currently set up, the folks currently in these positions, the job title only requires them to have 6 accounting credits, which is illogical. And moving forward, 2 of those folks are nearing retirement, and so as we have continued to do, trying to think towards the future, and when we go to fill those positions again, we want to be able to make sure that we have someone who at least has 15 credits in accounting. So that was the reason for the request. We ended up pulling it from the budget because civil service was not getting back to us. And literally, I think within a week of pulling it, they approved it. So, but it was too late, so here we are.
I do remember this one being talked about prior to budget, and also maybe I'm wrong here, but wasn't this the one where kind of need that because the whole grant process and looking ahead, and actually it puts us better positioned
Much
for
better positioned.
grant money.
Yes.
For better opportunities and awareness, correct?
Somebody able to better manage those funding streams and making sure that we are using them correctly. Yep.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you for your explanation. Motion to move to full council?
So move, second.
Any other items for personnel? Mr. McClure?
I'm sorry I wasn't here. The prison administration suggests to me that maybe the Robin Rivera appointment wasn't taken up.
It was not there.
Let's see, jail advisory? Was that right?
Jail advisory.
Okay, let me go back through.
It's Mr. Kraft, by the way, who pointed that out to me.
It's not here.
Housing Authority,
Not there?
jail advisory, Michelle Santiago. It was.
There's only one.
There's two of them?
Only one.
There's only one.
Do we need to add another one before we adjourn?
Robin Rivera?
I did not see that.
That's not here.
She can continue to serve until the next Personnel Committee meeting if you want to choose to do it that way.
Okay.
I mean, I could speak to her, because when I was on the board, she and Michelle were both active members. I see no reason for her not to continue if she's willing to, so I would support that, but we just don't have the
The
documentation.
clerk's checking for the Scrivener's error.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if we find it, then, if council chooses to move forward tonight, that would be preferable to us, but
Okay.
we'll work with it if council doesn't choose to do so.
Can you repeat the name?
Robin Rivera,
Okay.
is that right? It's
It's a reappointment, correct?
2 years? Okay. Well, it's a two-year board.
It is a
Yeah.
reappointment.
Yes.
Okay.
Where's she from?
Darned if I remember.
I think Bethlehem, but I could be mistaken.
Say again? You didn't get it?
That's okay. We'll advise her to continue to serve until we can get it on the
All
next personnel
Sounds
committee.
good. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Very observant of the folks in the audience. Appreciate that. And anything else for the good of personnel? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Ron's not here.
Okay. Commence the Finance Committee meeting. Do we have any courtesy from the floor? If not, discussion regarding donation to Graysdale, an organization now known as the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Does hereby authorize county executive to accept on behalf of Graysdale the donation in the amount of $930 from the Order of the Purple Heart, Lehigh Valley Chapter 190, to be divided and split equally among all personal funds accounts.
Motion to recommend approval to full council.
Bill, second. Second. So move forward to tomorrow. Discussion regarding Article 8 contracts, common sales and 13, sorry. Thanks, correct my numbers.
Roman numerals.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I saw the discussion regarding. Right, a math educator. Common sales and service. Authorized to establish purchasing contracts on behalf of itself, member agencies. Do you want to speak to this?
Sure. So last year,
Oh,
the jail had approached me about the need for a emergency generator. It would be to replace an existing emergency generator that dates back to the 1970s. So I had reached out to Kathy Anderson. She had given me a list of generator providers that are on the Sourcewell co-op contract. So I had set up, I received quotes from Cummins, Kohler, and CAT had declined to submit a full turnkey proposal because they could not handle the installation side of things. But I did receive quotes for both diesel and natural gas options for this generator. We elected to go with diesel because it was significantly cheaper than the natural gas option. So we had we would like to proceed with the Cummins proposal for a 300 kilowatt emergency generator. We do have leftover bond funding from 2013 that was allocated for generators at the government center, and the prison would fall within that realm, so it's a appropriate use of those funds, I believe.
Any questions?
Yeah, I guess my question really has to do with the choice of diesel fuel. Aren't we serviced by natural gas, and how does it make sense to have a diesel generator instead of our existing natural gas?
Well, it was natural gas would have been about a $60,000 increase over the price of the diesel. Given that it's an emergency generator and won't be running continuously, the payback period to recoup that $60,000 would be significant. Additionally, we don't know if the existing lines have enough capacity to handle adding a generator onto it. So there might have been some modifications needed to the service supply lines to the facility.
Did we bother to question UGI and find out if it's feasible for us to do it at a cheaper price?
Well, we didn't touch base with UGI about that to see if it was feasible, but we just figured that the $60,000 difference wasn't worth even going down that route.
Yeah, I understand that, but long-term, with the way oil prices and diesel prices are up, fluctuating like there's no tomorrow, we already pretty much know we're sitting in the bed of natural gas. That's why I was going to ask the same question that John asked. So,
Mr. Myers, just to let you know, the gas prices we have for the county, they are negotiated at a set rate, and they're done on a regular basis. We have very, very good rates. So we're pretty much at the market bottom we're going to be for electricity and for natural gas, because we are such a high user of both of those utilities. Just so you're aware. Purchasing, I know, can give you more information if you'd like, but we've negotiated those rates as far down as we can, especially when we did the energy savings, the ESCO project through the McClure Company. And part of those rates are negotiated specifically to also pay back bonds for energy efficient services. So the changing of the rates do have other ramifications for work that was already done and bonds that we're paying off for the ESCO project.
okay, your explanation works for me. I just wanted to find out, because I know in the past in other boards that this is what we did, so I'm good with that.
Just one follow-up then. The exhaust for diesel is much more okay, for lack of a better word, dirty. Do we have sufficient ventilation versus for natural gas? It's much cleaner burning than diesel fuel.
It's an outdoor generator. It's not directly located next to any offices or any areas where people congregate.
Do you have to put a scrubber on that at all, though? And where do you get the diesel from? Like, does it have to be, like, the natural gas lines are there, so where does the diesel line come in? Do you have to put a new line in, or is it just
the diesel gets delivered on trucks?
Right. So do you have to install a new tank? I guess that's my question.
The tank is part of the generator itself.
Oh, okay.
It has a sufficient
so it's
capacity.
part of the scope of the work.
Yeah, the generator has a tank that's capable of running for, I think it's 48 hours continuously.
And is there any scrubbing system there that would clean the exhaust from this diesel generator?
I'm sure there's some sort of filtration system, and I don't know all the details.
It doesn't seem like there's one on the scope of the work, though. When you look through the equipment.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I don't see it, but, just ask.
I just have one other question. Where's this thing going to be located at?
It's going to be located near the loading dock area, kind of near the employee entrance side. where the prison intake gate is. It's going to be in that area.
Okay, is there any air intakes in that area?
There's nothing close by, no.
So this is a 300 kilowatt generator. Is that only for backup, or does that carry the total load for the prison?
It would be able to provide emergency power for the medical units, the kitchen, the intake and booking offices, which currently don't have any emergency generation right now.
Is there any other emergency generators there that would cover any other load?
Yeah, there's one other generator at the prison that picks up all the essential facilities.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Mr.
I
McGee?
guess my question is, or my comment would be, if you buy a diesel machine, it has to comply with the specifications. So I'm assuming a Caterpillar would, or whoever made that machine would comply with those specifications. To Mr. Rinsky's point.
Oh,
I mean,
with
if
the emissions?
anything brand new that's going to be purchased would more than likely have to meet the
Yeah, I don't think it would
federal
be specific.
regulations, or they wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it would be specifically called out in their proposal, but there are emissions regulations that new generators must meet.
They have to be compliant.
Yes.
Right.
And who regulates that?
I'm assuming the EPA.
EPA or no?
Any comments, questions? Do I have a motion to move this forward tomorrow night?
Motion move.
Second?
I'm not on the committee.
You can't second, you're not on the committee, but thanks for doing that. It's up to you. You gonna move forward or not?
You know, if it were my house, I would put in natural gas. I mean, that's where I'm coming down. If this were my home and I were gonna put in a generator and I had access to natural gas, I would pay a little bit more for natural gas. So, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I understand the cost savings, but if it were my home, I would prefer gas. So, that's where I come down.
You'd have to make a little bit of a cost analysis to see if the gas over time would compensate for the $60,000 increase, and if there's any other lines that you have to put in additionally, because the lines that we currently have don't service that. So it might be more than $60,000.
Well, we don't know that they don't service
Right.
because that's.
But there's a lot of unknowns there, so
So
I would put solar panels on my house, but.
I would move this to council, but if you want to try to get some of the answers to the questions for tomorrow night, it might be helpful. So thank you. I'll second the motion, so it'll move forward tomorrow night. The next is HT Lyons. Kitchen equipment for the jail. Does anybody want to speak to that? So when I talked about cookies, I wasn't far off, huh?
Not far off. Good evening. That's just basically our maintenance contract for the kitchen. Takes care of the coolers, the ice machines, the Freon, and the cooling systems. It's our typical maintenance and our typical contract that we need down for the kitchen area.
Is this a renewal or is this a new company?
HT Lines, I would,
That's gotta be renewal.
so many contracts I'd have to look, but I think it's
I-
a
you know.
renewal from HT Lines. That's who we've been using, so
Okay.
I'd say HT Lines.
Okay.
One comment. Yeah, certainly HT Lyons is reputable, and I'm sure they'll do a good job. My only concern here is that there was only one firm that submitted a response, so it's, you did some competitive negotiation afterward. Was that part of the process? 'Cause when you
Part of
only
the
have one-
process, I'm sorry.
When you only have one bid, that I think it rolls into somewhat of a competitive negotiation. Was any of that done, or did we just accept their bid because we thought it was reasonable?
I would think their bid is reasonable, since they are the only ones, so I can't answer for the people that backed out or didn't submit, maybe in a timely manner, or could not take care of our needs at the prison. So I can't answer for them. And once they hand the bids in for purchasing department, pretty much it goes from there. Goes through the process, and since they're the only ones who properly bid, that would be it.
Yeah, no, again, I realize that, and again, I think HT Lyons is reputable. I don't have any problem with them, but the idea behind competitive bidding is that we have competition.
Well, we give
There was-
everybody the opportunity to bid.
Yeah.
So that's out there and that we have to do, so.
Yeah, so I'll be supporting it, but.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Point of order. Me being a new guy, these people coming up, I'd like to know who we're talking with.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Jim Castor, Director of Corrections.
Thank you.
I apologize. I forgot to tell people to introduce themselves because we do have new members, so thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to move this forward?
Second.
So moved. See you tomorrow night. Premier Therapy LLC, I believe this is Graysdale. No relation to the other Premier, correct?
Correct. I was going to bring that up. So, back when I started.
Do you want to introduce yourself
Yes,
again?
Jennifer
I think
Stewart King.
you did last week, but just in
Administrator
case-
of Graysdale Nursing Home. We had looked into putting out an RFP early for our therapy company back in May and June of last year. We started with the point-click care, so everything's been a little bit on hold. So it's been a long while. We had 7 people who put in for the RFP. We dwindled it down to Premier Therapy. And I'd like to introduce Heather Meadows, who's the Executive Director, and Erin Comport, who's also here, who will be the Area Director. And she can tell you a little bit about us. What she's going to do.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Heather Meadows. I'm an Executive Director for Pennsylvania for Premier Therapy, no relation to Premier Management. We were asked to come back for the RFP. We bid on the position, and in October, we made our last visit and our final visit to Graysdale to present our final bid, everything that we could do to assist Graysdale in moving forward. And we received a call back about 3 weeks ago, and we were told that we would come to this meeting and answer any questions. Premier has been in business for, it's our 20th year this year. We have over 500 employees across 3 states now, Ohio, New York, and Pennsylvania. As I said before, I run the state of Pennsylvania. I brought Erin Comport. She's also a speech pathologist by background, and she would be the area director for the facility. And then we would hire 2 other managers that would be on site at your facility that would not leave. Erin would travel facilities, but the 2 managers at your facility would be a director. You call them a DOR, we call them an FRD, Facility Rehab Director, as well as a program director. Premier Therapy believes in a high level of upper management to make sure that you get exactly what we present to you in the RFP. Off the bat, Premier is set just straight out of the gate. We do not charge for meetings, any added training services that we provide for your facility, and just comparing present contract to the contract that we are providing, we will save you over $75,000 just in not charging for meetings, because we believe that's part of our service that we deliver, being your provider and your facility. Overall, just looking at Medicare Part A and Part B, not to really dig really deep, we look to save you over $2 million in your first year, just taking a look at current provider and then putting that to our contract that we proposed.
Wait. Are you still presenting? I'm sorry.
No, I'm open for any questions or explanation.
I'm looking at your pricing proposal, and it is chock full of letters. Could you
Explain
what is a rug? Could you tell us what a rug classification, ultra high rug, very high rug?
Well, I'm going to be able to make it. Yes. Don't we wish?
Could you take us through what that means?
I sure can.
And how you arrive at the costs?
Sure thing.
What ruck, rub, roa, rucks, and roll are? Because it makes...
This doesn't make sense?
No.
I don't. It's not shocking. Well, I will alleviate so much of this by telling you that October 1st, the rug system went away. We are now in a PDPM, which is some more letters for you. So we are now in a different system. Medicare changes every, what would you say, Jennifer? Every 15 years, they change our payment structure. So the rugs are gone. So we no longer have a rug structure. So you can forget that. If you look at the very top of our proposal, you will see that when we presented this, we had part of the RFP was to talk about rugs and how we would service the rugs payment, but it has since gone away. So you can forget about all of that because that's no longer even relevant.
What does it stand for, though?
The rug utilization grouping, it would be a day, but if I could just give you the quickness of it. Ultra high, you get paid a certain amount of money for every patient that hits a rehab ultra high category. So an ultra high category is paid more than a rehab medium category. So there's different payments for each one of the rug categories. That's gone now, though.
So PDPM, what does that stand for?
Payment-driven payment model.
Right, our
Good, okay,
payment-driven payment model, and that is
Patient model.
patient, yes.
Patient.
Yes.
Because I was going to say payment.
Payment-driven patient model. And you put me on the spot, and I couldn't have remembered it if I tried.
That's okay.
I was going to look back and say, Erin, tell me what it is. But what that is, it's truly not a delivery change. We shouldn't change the way we deliver services to your patients, but it's the way they pay you that it has changed. It's the way CMS pays you.
So let's break this down to more specifics and
Sure.
practical terms. What kind of services get paid for, I think,
The
is
same-
what they're asking.
The same services get paid. As Premier Therapy providers, we come in and it is our job to service your population based on their payment system, what they get paid for. So Medicare patients, there's a Part A and there's a Part B. Part A's are paid under PDPM. Part B is paid under Medicare Part B. It's considered an outpatient. It's not, but it's an outpatient payment model. So when you look at just those two structures, they're usually the majority of what's in your facility. In the nursing home, you want to know Premier has the knowledge to come in and service those patients under this new payment model and make sure that we're training nursing. We're not just worrying about what Premier's getting paid. It's our job to make sure your nursing staff in your facility understands how to maximize reimbursement and take everything that's on the table.
Wow. So this is medical treatment.
It's so medical,
Right.
absolutely.
So there's no mental health.
No mental health. This is all
Nothing like
medical,
that. Just checking.
occupational, physical, and speech pathology.
There you go.
Did I answer that finally? I'm sorry.
And it's a per day DM fee, it's a minutes fee, it's a, because
Well,
what if
it was a-
somebody needs 3 services a day, then how does that get billed out?
It would get billed. We charge you 39% of the therapy component. So it would be very, very difficult to explain to everybody exactly how PDPM is structured. There are 5 components, and therapy is one of the components. It is not that simple. So right?
39% of the daily fee is therapy and the stuff that you're providing, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that we are charging you, our proposed charge would be 39% of the therapy portion of the reimbursement. There's 5 buckets of money that go into paying the PDPM rate that you get. For example, say your daily rate is $512. Your therapy rate per day, so say that's $500, $512 per patient per day. Your therapy rate may be $78 depending on the therapy reimbursement for that patient, depending on exactly who's in, occupational, physical, speech pathology. But there's a lot outside of that rate that goes into building your overall rate. Your therapy company is very, very important in getting a strong NTA score, which
NTA stands for?
non-therapy ancillaries.
There you go.
And so not to convolute this, the therapy component is the very smallest portion of what therapy is going to do to make sure that your big picture money for PDPM, that your rate doesn't go from $511, what you're used to, and drop down to $400 a day per patient. Did that make any sense?
So bottom line, when you're looking at this, it says based on services provided. total 5 years estimated 16.5 million. It's important to note that Graysdale is reimbursed by Medicare in an amount greater than the amount spent and realizes a net profit. So you're telling us that basically your services, by switching to you, it's going to be cheaper and we're going to be at a net profit because we're going to maximize what Medicare or Medicaid. Medicare, I was right the first time.
Yes.
Medicare reimburses us, right?
Absolutely.
So you're
in the
going to
clean.
be clean. Got it.
You're going to make more per day. With our proposal, you would make more per day and spend less making that money.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, as a mental health person on a finance board, what I'm concerned about is the services that are actually delivered.
Yes,
Because we
ma'am.
had a discussion at the Graysdale board, and one of the concerns was that the current provider is not so stellar in delivery of the services. So I think maybe to speak a little bit about the actual delivery and not just the numbers would be helpful.
Absolutely. My favorite part to speak of is the clinical. Clinically, Premier, we are an aggressive therapy team. Patients that reside in your nursing home, based under CMS requirements, have to be screened quarterly. Premier screens quarterly, and we pick up your patients when they have the slightest drop. So we make sure your patients stay at their highest functional level throughout the entire year. Not to convolute this anymore, but there's also a cap per se. Every Medicare patient gets $3,700 or so a year to spend, and your provider needs to come in and be very conscientious in how we spend that. Because if I go haywire and spend that in the first quarter, I really put that patient at a risk the rest of the quarters, because then I can't provide services without putting you in a position where you may not get paid for it, but I would still get paid for it. Yeah, I know. It's a very tricky system. So, Premier, we know how to treat your patients throughout the quarter to maintain their functional level without going over their cap, to make sure they go through the entire year. That's what Medicare's based off of. Spending money wisely quarterly so that patients do not use all their money the first 2 months of the year.
But that doesn't necessarily limit care, right?
Say it one more
It
time.
doesn't necessarily limit the care that you get.
It will never limit care. If there is ever a time when a patient needs to exceed their cap, and that does happen with us, we speak to the administrator and we have a very specific plan of care in place with the amount of therapy we need to get them back to level, and we discuss that and move forward.
Other questions?
Comment. So your opening statement pretty much explained that you guys are cheaper than the other ones, and we're going to do a better bang for our buck. On the percentages levels that you're going to charge, and comparing it to the previous carrier.
I am not privy to the previous contract, but I know that the numbers for caseload, we asked before we did your refer for pricing, we asked for current levels of treatment and therapy delivery, and based on that, we found that your Part B is extremely underserved. So we are, just with that, I can tell you, just with knowing that your patients are underserved presently, yes, we would be a better bang for your buck.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Brian, did you want to speak to something?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to let you know, I do have the numbers, if you'd like them, from what we currently.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I had a question for
Wait,
her.
let him give
When
the
you-
numbers.
I know, but when you go, because she was going to sit down, so I just wanted to nip that in the bud.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so where Premier's Medicare A percentage is 39%, we're currently paying 39.5%. And then if you look down into the part, we'll go with the Medicaid. Premier's proposal is 85 cents per minute. Our rate currently is 86 cents per minute. Part B, which is 65% in the proposal, we currently are paying 69%. And then essentially the all others, where it says 85, follows the same rate structure as the Medicaid, 85 versus 86.
Thank you.
And aside from that, it's the utilization that goes on top of that.
So you said something about maximizing the treatment by educating the nurses on how to bill.
Yeah.
or how to, can you explain that part
Sure.
again?
Premier does, we do not charge any added fee for any training that we give to the nursing staff or any staff in the facility. When PDPM started to come out, and we knew that it would go into implementation in October, in all the facilities that we serve, we taught MDS everything about how PDPM was going to work, what was important to have in place. We had our steps in place. We did that training. That alleviated the facility from having to send them out to very expensive trainings and come back and make sure they understood what was going on. Going to daily meetings, daily stand-up. If it lasts for over an hour, you're not getting charged $65 because I had to send my director to your meeting. That all comes what we call added value services. It just comes with your package.
But you said something about teaching the nurses how to maximize billing. Or
I
how
understand.
To report it. So how is it that?
I understand.
How will that be reported?
Okay,
Is that
understood.
through the point click or?
Yes.
Okay.
It's basically making sure your documentation is saying everything you needed to
So is there going to be somebody overseeing that documentation now?
Absolutely. Yeah, we audit,
That seems like that's important.
It is.
To make sure that patients are getting consistent care when they're supposed to be getting care.
and it's documented, or it didn't happen. Also with the PDPM, when I said that we educate on the PDPM to make sure nothing's left on the table, PDPM, the new payment structure, is very specific. The amount of money you can bill is based on what you put into the system to churn out. And if they're not educated on what ICD-10 codes to use, then they might not be using the codes that can maximize the reimbursement. That's where we come in.
Okay, because you also said something about auditing. So when you audit, do you look at the record to make sure that the care that is documented is the care that was actually given to the patient?
Yes, I understand what you're asking.
I know you would make that assumption.
It's a
but,
clinical, you would make that assumption, yes, of course.
Ron
That's
just
important,
joined us on the phone. Ron, we're talking about the Premier Therapy contract for Graysdale. Okay, just wanted to tell him where we were. I didn't mean,
Good.
go ahead.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to move the, Jen, did you want to say anything more about why you all chose this company?
It was the best of all seven. I mean, we researched, you saw how they come, pretty big, and as much as I tried to stay away from the name, she was the best. She was, so.
We will bring, our estimated initial will be 40 employees that we will bring on. It may go to 45, it just depends. So initially, we'll bring 40 on.
Okay,
Make a motion to recommend to full council.
thank you. So,
Would you like her tomorrow night? Does she need to come for tomorrow evening?
I don't think so.
No, I think we're good.
I asked all my,
Thank you very much.
I asked all my questions.
Vision Technologies,
I would imagine.
hardware for disaster recovery refresh.
So
Hi,
this
Norco
contract,
Money Man.
hello. This contract is for Vision Technologies. It is the refresh for the disaster recovery server space through NetApp, or they're NetApp servers, but they're purchased through Vision Technologies at a considerable savings. So that is why that contract was brought forward to you for your approval. The money is in the budget, and
Wait, what did you say?
Sounded to me like you burped.
I need, all right, Linda, you have to translate Ron for me because I can barely hear him. Sorry, Steve.
Ron, you want to repeat that, please?
Did you want to say something?
well, there you have it, folks.
Then he burped.
He's talking to the dog.
And that's all.
This is a test.
Can I ask a question on
Please
this
do,
one?
please do.
So this is for the CW disaster recovery. I'm looking at the adopted budget, and we had $232,200. And this price is $248,249.04. So it looks like it's come in, what, 16,000 or so
That-
over budget? Is that,
So
what are you
there
doing for
is
that?
equipment built into that. There's equipment built into that price. So there are servers that are built into that price as well. And that goes into, some of that money comes from the technology refresh. So while it's 248,000, I believe there is money that's going to come out of additional line items for the equipment.
So that would
goes
be
along with
the
that.
CW, you're going to take some money out of the CW computer refresh line item?
Mm-hmm.
That would be, okay, because that's 250, so I wasn't sure.
Correct.
Okay, so that explains it. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Motion to move forward?
So moved.
Council, second? So done, thank you. Moving on to controller reports. Welcome our new controller.
You have to list my name for Mr. Myers.
Yes, spell it in full.
Well, I'm here tonight with also Tony Sabino. It's our new audit manager. We perform these reviews every 4 years for every county department that collects and deposits cash or checks. For the Ways and Measures Division, first, proper segregation of duties is in place. However, in a couple of instances, county personnel neglected the initial documents as evidence of segregation. 2 is the receipts are generally deposited within 1 business day, but we found 1 delay when the person responsible for depositing the cash was on vacation. So receipts, however, were kept in a safe place. In regard of the, do you have any questions on that?
No, we'll wait till you're finished.
Okay. In regards of the Sheriff's Department, we documented.
Oh, wait, we're done with weights and measures?
Yes,
Yeah, that is,
that's why I'm asking.
good. Moving on.
In regards of the Sheriff's Department, we documented procedures that suggest that duties are properly segregated, but our testing indicated that all cash handling assignments are performed by 1 individual. This department takes in very little cash. However, 2 deposits did not indicate the day of receipt, as we couldn't determine if the deposits were made on a timely basis. And if you have any questions on the Sheriff's Department.
So they don't need any corrective action, or you're not suggesting that at this time?
Tony?
When we do an agreed upon procedures engagement, we're not permitted to do any recommendations. However, in this instance, the one thing I did discuss this with the auditor that performed this particular agreed upon procedures engagement. They do take in very little cash, and they are changing their procedures that most of the money now is going to be directly taken to revenue. So they're going to be handling virtually nothing going forward. So these were what I would say to be not the best procedures, but again, I think it's being corrected just through their own evolution.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And any question, any others?
No, go ahead.
Since our last appearance before council, we released 6 hotel rooms rental tax reports. In these audits, we test for errors in reporting and modify hotel operators of any tax overpaid or due to the county. For Lafayette Inn, they owe $329.60. For Hotel Bethlehem, there is no over or underpayment. Quality Inn Easton, they owe $132.45. The Hampton Inn Easton owe $475.01. The Hampton Inn Bethlehem owe $150.87, and Lehigh Valley Hotel and Conference Center owe $799.06, and some of this money already being received. Any questions?
So how do we find out when it's all in? Like, how do we?
We get notified by revenue, and we'll have the date and it marked.
Okay. What about the new place? Do we have agreements to the Wind Creek or whatever?
That's
It's not new, but it's renamed, so how does that?
Wind Creek, that's the.
The hotel tax, license transfers to them automatically because they're the new hotelier, because they're still doing the hotel, they're still running the hotel. And any additional rooms, I know there's talk of a second hotel there or whatever. Any additional rooms will be captured through that process, and we have processes to catch new hotels that do come online. Traditional hotels, and then we have our agreement with Airbnb.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to ask
You know,
about
that was my
Airbnb?
next question. Do we, as part of the audit process, will we do one for the Airbnb? Because I don't think we have, and I think that's something we might want to consider.
So the part of the Supreme Court case that came out just recently about short-term rentals relates to the level of disclosure that Airbnb, VRBO, and those online hoteliers do need to give us related to what they pay us in hotel tax. We do take them on faith. The backup does provide numbers, and you can reverse engineer some of it. I don't know what Mr. Basile is going to do, but I have some ideas on how to reverse engineer it that I do plan on sharing with the Controller's office. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that that's important. There's no reason why those.
And if I may, we do have a procedure in place for hotels that bring in less money than, I think it's 8,000. Just review the work papers. We do it all at once, and it's called a non-site visit review. My guess is any Airbnb would fall under that. So it would be a real quick, we look at the remittances that they give to the county, and then we do some analysis with regard to that. So if we do include them, probably they would be included in the non-site visit section of our reviews. And with regard to Wind Creek, they don't have to be notified, but they'll probably be approached by. Does DCED do that approaching of them to give them the rules and regs and all that kind of stuff, or is
the rules and regs that they
carried forward? They already have all that information.
But it's revenue who sends that out.
And they send that out. So they're already aware that we have the full right to audit them at any time, and we will be just including them in our schedule as we would any other hotel that's new.
How do you capture new Airbnbs or these? I'm just curious because I know more and more people are using them. My friends have started to use them when they come into town. Like, how do you find out who the players are, if you will?
It depends on.
Without disclosing all your secret tricks, I don't want to.
So it can be just as simple as when I was the controller calling up Jim Hunter and saying, "Hey, I saw this online. You should look at it." Okay. It depends on if they're operating as more of a traditional hotel or they're on Airbnb. When Airbnb lists a property, from when I negotiated the contract, they look at the zip code and they look at the taxing information. Online, they have a list of all the taxes that come out of that one taxing fee, including Northampton County's hotel tax. You can find that on Airbnb if you click on the little question mark and taxing local governments. In there, when a property is identified to be in Northampton County proper, then they provide the hotel tax, they send us the money. So there's nothing we need to do on our end to capture that property. But every now and again there's a Norwegian spa place on 611 that is on Airbnb, but it's very hard sometimes to capture anything they do off of Airbnb. But a lot of Airbnbs look more and more like traditional hotels, so you just kind of have to watch what people are doing and evolve.
no regions.
Interesting.
So from an auditor's point of view, we did this once, and we found a lot of information just by doing regular Google searches.
Yeah.
Just go into Google and type in rooms to rent in the Lehigh Valley and see what comes up. And you can sometimes find something that is not listed anywhere, and we did find a few that way.
I could tip you off to a few too. I'll tell you where my friends are staying.
Flea bags, but, you know.
So they would never consider like the campgrounds or anything, right?
Yep. We
Because
had the
I was going to tell you, there's a new thing going on with the younger folks looking for space, especially if they work in the inner city. And it's a similar Airbnb, but it's related to campgrounds. Or they're renting their backyards like Airbnb. They got nice backyards and, you know.
We just did, was Camp Charles, no relation to Mr. Derringer?
Isn't it on the compound?
It's up this way.
That was one of the non-site visits, Camp Charles Campground. I just reviewed those work papers. You'll see that shortly.
Nice.
Very little money, and, you know, but we look at it.
Oh, hi. Okay, we're good.
Good.
Thank you. I want to read Steve Barron's book when it comes out. I really do. The Secret Tricks of Northampton County, because he's got a few.
Ghostwrite that for you? Okay, thank you.
No, all the tricks. Steve knows all the tricks. Thank you, Mr. Basile. Welcome to the team. With any other comments or questions or issues to be brought forward? Motion to adjourn.
Put your hat on. It is.
Good job. Okay.
Just like Airbnb was.
They're on my radar. So yes, they.